Long before the world called it Zimbabwe, this land was known as Zimbabwe, the House of Stone, a sacred place of kings, spirit mediums, and proud farmers who lived close to the earth. But when European settlers arrived in the late 1800s, led by Cecil Rhodes and his British South Africa Company, everything changed. They claimed the land, forced Africans to pay taxes, and turned proud men into servants on their own soil. Yet, the people refused to bow. From the mountains and forests rose a cry called Chimurenga, the Shona word for revolution. It began with two names whispered like thunder, Mbuya Nehanda and Sekuru Kaguvi. They were not generals. They were spiritual leaders, chosen by the ancestors. Nehanda, the lion-hearted woman, preached that the spirits of the land demanded freedom. Under her voice, the Shona and Ndebele people united for the first time. They fought with spears and courage against rifles and cannons. For 2 years, the British fought to crush them. Villages were burned, warriors slain. But even as Nehanda was captured and sentenced to death, she stood tall before the noose and declared, "My bones will rise again." And they did. The First Chimurenga was defeated, but its spirit did not die. Rhodesia was born, a white man's colony on African soil. For decades, black Zimbabweans lived under harsh colonial laws. Their land was taken, their voices silenced, their dreams buried beneath European rule. But in secret, that whisper of rebellion, Chimurenga, kept echoing. It grew in the hearts of a new generation. By the 1960s, that whisper became a roar. Two movements were born, ZANU, led by Robert Mugabe, and ZAPU, led by Joshua Como. Together, they vowed to finish what Nehanda began. From camps in Mozambique and Zambia, young men and women trained as guerrilla fighters. They learned to fight with AK-47s, to move by night, to live in the forests. They were called freedom fighters, but to the Rhodesian regime, they were terrorists. Villages that helped them were bombed. Thousands were imprisoned. Yet, the people would not surrender. They fought through hunger and darkness, through betrayal and fear, guided by the same spirit that moved Mbuya Nehanda. By the late 1970s, the war could no longer be contained. The world condemned the Rhodesian government. In 1979, after years of bloodshed, both sides met in London at the Lancaster House Conference. There, after nearly a century of struggle, the dream of freedom was finally reborn. April 18, 1980, Zimbabwe was free. Tears of joy filled the air as the new flag was raised over Harare. Robert Mugabe became the first Prime Minister, and the promise of Nehanda's words was fulfilled. Today, her statue stands tall in the heart of the capital, a reminder that freedom has a price, and that the bones of the fallen do rise again. The Chimurenga Wars were not just battles of guns and blood. They were wars of spirit, of ancestors, of faith. From the first cry in 1896 to the victory in 1980, Zimbabwe proved one truth to the world: a people who know their history cannot be conquered forever. If you believe African history deserves to be told with pride, like, comment, and subscribe for more incredible stories of Africa's heroes, kingdoms, and liberation struggles.